Why would I want to talk to you today, and why would you want to listen to me? Really simply, I love to see people flourish. I love to see people achieving their goals, achieving their dreams. And today, no matter what you've got as a dream, and no matter what kind of obstacles and problems you may face in reaching them, I'm going to leave you with 3 specific things that you can do starting today that will have the impact, the ability to change your life forever. Let me take you back to a time when I was working for a large multi-million-dollar corporation. I was a manager with 20 people in my team, and I would have to do the team meetings every couple of weeks. I'd have to have a staff meeting every couple of weeks. And when I would send out the invitation for the staff meeting, usually on the morning of the meeting, people would click and accept that they were going to come to the meeting at that time. They would click acceptance at the last minute. It was this they were kind of watching for if they got a better deal or something to come along. And if they didn't get that, well, they'd have to come to the staff meeting. And so during one of my staff meetings, I was talking to them about the kinds of things that we need to focus on. And they were profits and shareholders and stockholders. And people's eyes began just to kind of glaze over. And I stopped. And I said, let me ask you all a question. Let me just take a moment. You know, as we go through these required briefings that the company asks us to give, we talk about a whole variety of things that include these metrics, these business metrics. And does anybody feel inspired or motivated while I talk about these things? And you know, the looks on their faces were fairly shocked. They didn't know what to say. One brave man raised his hand and says, well, I feel informed, but I don't feel motivated. And I just said, we're going to do something different. And I grabbed a marker and I went to a board and I drew a circle and I wrote these things down, these ROI and profit and percentages and productivity. I wrote all these things down and said, now this is the kind of stuff that I so often am required by the company to talk with you about. And then I stepped back and I drew a larger circle that included the first circle. And I said, think of that first thing as the workplace you. That's the you here in the workplace. But there is so much more to you. There's the family you. There's the social you. There's the you that's working on talents and skills. You may be learning to play guitar. You may be improving your golf game. There's all these other aspects of you. And what I'd like to do with our team meetings going forward is that I'll take the first 20 minutes or a half hour, and we're going to cover the business that we have to cover. We're going to cover the required communications that I've got to deliver from the company. But in the second half hour or 40 minutes of that time, I want to start to talk to you about some principles, some practices, some ideas and concepts that you can use to make your life a success. You can use it to make your life successful at home, to improve the way your life is at home. You can use it to be successful in your skill building. You can use it to be successful in every other dimension of your life. And when I talk about these things, I'm not going to ask you at all to try and apply these to the business, because I am so confident that if you find these principles, these practices that I'm going to describe to you to be successful in all these other dimensions of your life, it will be a natural thing that you will begin to apply them to the work life. And I'm just going to make the bet as a manager that we can make an enormous change in your lives, and you will come back and apply it to the workplace. So I went back to my desk and I sat down and I typed up the electronic calendar notification for the next meeting 2 weeks out. And amazingly, within a half hour, all of my employees had responded, yes, they were coming. They'd gone from being the dead to the quick. And week after week, month after month, as I continued to work on a program where I said, let's get our business out of the way, and then let's talk about some principles that you can apply to make your life more successful. My team was highly engaged, highly interactive, highly participative. They were there. They had made that shift, and it was the most welcoming thing as a manager you can imagine, to have a group of people be there with you on that discovery. So let me take you for a moment where I asked them to go, and we started by asking some questions about, what does success look like to you? For some people, success is going to look like and sound like and feel like the sound of children's feet running down the hallway, and a young child jumping into your arms and throwing their arms around you and say, "Mommy, Daddy, you're home." For some people, that's a key piece of their success. For most of us, it is. For other people, it may be that the 99th floor of a gleaming skyscraper and the cold feel of a glass of champagne in your hand while you're toasting a Triumph is a terrific aspect of what you would see as success. And maybe for you, success would be at the center of attention, where you're on the stage and all eyes are on you, and you're allowing acknowledgement for an accomplishment that you've made. Well, there's 6 billion people in the world, and there are 6 billion different views about what success looks like. And the most important part is that for every one of you, you've got some aspect of a vision of success that means the most to you. But one important question to ask is, whatever vision of success you have, do you feel that you're not getting enough of it? Do you ever feel like today is just like yesterday? Do you ever feel like you're in a rut? Do you ever feel like you maybe used to have dreams and you used to have aspirations, but that's been something that you've kind of forgotten about, and it isn't an important part of your life? Two questions we want to talk about is, what does it cost you to settle for less? 1 out of 10 Americans are suffering from depression, according to leading experts. Along with depression and frustration, poor health is a high correlation of people who report being depressed and frustrated. They also they lack energy, they lack vitality, they don't exercise. What about scraping by? What about financial troubles? How many of us know people who are just barely making it, who are really, really struggling with their finances, and that's a constant part of their life? What about the folks that you may find who are emotionally numb? You think you talk to someone and they talk back to you like, why should I bother? Why does it matter? How about the folks whose primary orientation to life seems to be one based on anger? They're mad at everybody. I think these are the kinds of things that cost us an enormous amount in our lives. And I want to ask, what about something different? What about waking up in the morning and say, you know what, today I want to be skinny, rich, and happy. Today I am skinny, rich, and happy. What if this was a frame of mind that you woke up and came to the day with? How might that be different? And let's talk about that. What do I mean by skinny? Well, you know, these are some buzzwords that have got actually a lot of thought and a lot of content below them. But for me, when I talk about being skinny, rich, and happy, and I say skinny, it means, sure, I've lost 30 pounds since I decided to change my life 2 years ago. But skinny is really not about weight. We're not about a diet program. It's about vitality and about activity and about having the energy to be someone who can just embrace life. Skinny is a big picture for health in whole, but it's a nice buzzword. What about rich? Well, you know, rich is different things to different folks, and means to me basically that we would take the concern for money out of the central role of your life and your focus. If that were to be something that you felt some confidence that you were managing all of your financial resources in a way that you were able to use money to be that fuel for the things that you wanted to achieve in your life. Getting out of that hand-to-mouth existence and getting to a point where you've got enough and maybe even a little bit of extra, and you have options and a viewpoint and a vision towards how you may make more if you need that. What about happy? Now there's the one that permeates every dimension of our life. How could you be more happy with with your relationships, with what you do with your time, with the way you give to your community, with your alignment with the purpose that you feel is part of your life. What about a change to skinny, rich, and happy as a different point of view? I hope by now that however you think of skinny, rich, and happy, that there's a part of you that's saying, gosh, I could use some more of that in my life. I'd like a little bit bigger helping of that skinny, rich, and happy stuff that he's talking about. And if in fact you only remember 3 things out of this conversation we're having today, I'd like you to remember that Dave Langston was talking to me about being skinny, rich, and happy. Just remember those 3 things, and that is a tremendous power to take forward into your life. We were talking about being skinny, rich, and happy. So I said earlier that there were going to be 3 things that were tangible, doable things that you could do right now, today, to start on your own journey towards achieving everything that you wanted out of your life. And one of the first things you start to do is describe success for you. Describe success for the way you would like it to be. If it's money, that needs to be a piece of how you describe it. If it is travel, if it's opportunity, begin to collect pictures of the things that you think of that would be a part of the success in your life. Write them down in detail. Very, very important at this point that you don't hamstring yourself by saying, how can I do this? Put the how question out of your mind and move it on out. That's not what you do when you describe success. You describe the things that you want, the things that you would love to have in your life. And don't forget family. Don't forget that part of success is the love of family and children and friends, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers. All of this part is a piece of the success. Your role in the community is a part of your success. So think about that in very, very broad terms, very, very clear. Spend some time doing the purpose work in your mind to think about what does success look like for me, and be very clear about it. Collect that stuff. Don't ask, how does it happen? The next thing you need to do is to begin to listen to the way you talk to yourself. Now, most of us know that we can't control everything. As a matter of fact, the number of things you can control is incredibly small. The number of things you can't control is nearly infinite. Why then would you take the 2 things that you have complete control over, and that is your thinking and your speech, especially the speech to yourself? Why would you take those and pollute them or contaminate them with negativity and self-criticism and limiting thoughts? Even people who have been in a prisoner of war camp will say that if they've lost their freedom, they can't move, they can't choose where and when they go, they've lost their uniform, their clothing, they've lost everything. They'll tell you that the one thing that they still have is the freedom to think and the freedom to talk to themselves. This is an incredibly powerful capacity that we've got, and it absolutely is. It is something that when you begin to listen to the way you talk to yourself, you may hear yourself rehearsing self-criticism. You may hear yourself telling you what you can't have, what you can't do, what's not good enough from you. So the second thing that I'm going to encourage you to look at doing is become extremely aware of your self-talk, and where you need to, change it. One of the last things I want to have you look at is to open your mind to possible, and open your mind to possible combinations. At a time in my life when I needed money, it was one thing just to say, oh gosh, I'm short on money. What am I going to do? How do I get around that obstacle? One of the many things that was available to me was an educational class that I could take. For many people, it may be that there's a book they've overlooked. There are resources around you, and as you cultivate the desire in those dreams of success, your mind will begin to help you find resources that will help you get to that success. And it may be that you have never thought about using a personal coach. Those are available. That may be just the thing that you need in your life. There may be a health club that you need to belong to. There may be someone on your block who is walking and running in the morning, and you could join them if a health issue and having someone work out with you was something of the obstacles that you were facing. Open your mind to the incredible range of possibilities and to the certain series of steps that you may be able to take and may need to take to get to your goals. It won't be the case that you can change your thinking and that money will fall out of the sky and into your pocket and that health will follow. And you won't become skinny, rich, and happy just by thinking about it. But you can begin to think about things in different ways and different opportunities you've got to exploit resources that are around you. As you focus on those goals, those resources will start to appear. So, a quick question. Don't you deserve success and happiness? Now, the skinny, rich, and happy is just my bumper sticker. I use that as a way to grab a whole myriad of thoughts and pictures and images. But you can start by defining what it means for you, and you can start to claim that future for yourself by thinking seriously about your purpose and goals, paying attention to your self-talk, and using affirmations that affirm what you want to have in your life and what is possible for your life, and then opening your mind and beginning to plan. Begin to put a serious plan together for how do you take steps to move you in that direction. One thing about doing this is that it is not a selfish act. Some people have felt like, well, this is a way of just focusing on yourself, and it actually is not. It is a gift. As you become more focused on what your goals are, the way you speak, and the way you put your pieces together, you become a model in the home and in the workplace and in the community. You become someone who walks the walk of a more enlightened person. Change your talk, change your thought, and you will change your life. Eventually, you change the world that you live in. Just in closing, I kind of want to bring this together in terms of a real focus. This is a lot about how we affirm to ourselves, the words we use to affirm. And affirmations are something that we do all the time. Affirmations are something that we constantly are telling ourselves what is something that we would never do or accept. We oftentimes affirm things that are below us, but far too often we affirm things that we can't do, and we affirm things that we can't afford, and we affirm things that we can't achieve. And this is something that you need to become aware of, and you can change that. You can begin to affirm the quality and the standard and the capacities in life that you would like to have. You can begin to affirm the future that you would like to live. There's a lot of material about the format for specific affirmations that you might write, and they very, very briefly involve that you read them, you speak them, you listen to them. One person in particular would speak his affirmations into a recorded device and then would listen to them in the morning while he was getting ready for work. This particular person noted that his wife said to him, I just love listening to that. Weeks later, she said, I just love listening to this. My days go better because I have taken to listening to the affirmations that you have recorded for yourself, and they're playing on the dressing table as we're getting ready in the morning. So they involve changing the way you talk to yourself and changing the frequency by which you talk to yourself, using vivid imagination, vivid imagery to picture what the life that you want looks like ahead of you, and allowing yourself to experience the emotions that you'll feel when you get there. These three pieces are the glue. These are the dynamic cement in your psychology that help you to achieve and move towards the goals that you've got in mind. And that's the overview of the things that I wanted to cover today. 3 things that you can do to make a dramatic improvement in your life. All of this goes into a lot more detail. I find many people that say, yes, I like that. I do want more in my life. I need some more resources. And I'm going to encourage people to take a look at my website, langstonstrategy.com, where I've got pointers to a great deal more in terms of books and websites, videos, a tremendous number of resources that people can apply and utilize to make this change happen in their lives. Thank you so much.